Good afternoon. It's 4:01 on Thursday, January 8th, and this is Finding the Advaita in A Course in Miracles. This is a courtesy of an Open Door, which is a not-for-profit, um, literally an open door where we can gather and teach and learn from each other. It's completely free, and we usually have a wide-ranging conversation here. You can, if you're new to listening to this, you can go to an open door on the website and see all the offerings that are available. So welcome today. Let's just take our seats, and I'll open the meeting with our invocation, and then we'll see where we go. So get comfortable and just, as we did a little earlier, just let the day go and open up some space. Be present right now. The impulse comes to gather. The quality of how we are together, how we talk, how we share, how we listen. This is our gift to the world. The purpose of every gathering is discovered in the gathering, but it's always to recognize beauty and to love what is beautiful. Conversation in this space rises out of every particle of our being. All of it is alive. Welcome to this empty table, a cleared space where something new can happen. When you take the hands of someone you love, what do those hands become? Let us take each other's hands across time and space here and open this up. Livy, Mel, Chuck, and myself were in a very interesting earlier gathering today, and I just feel as though there may be a need to, or a desire, not necessarily a need, but a desire just to share anything more about that than before we start in. And as we read through this, let's keep alive in ourselves what the earlier discussion brought up for each one of us and see if there's anything in today's readings that might illuminate or apply to what we experienced together with Lonnie. So I don't know if Karen was there or Josephine was there, but we'll see what happens. And Mel, why don't you start us off? Thank you.
Oh, sure. Well, just one thing that kind of surfaced for me was no matter how many kind of presences are coming through, we are ultimately none of that. We're ultimately the one awareness that is aware of all of that. And it's still part of the story that's being played out through us. But to never forget what are, what we really, I mean, we're drawn into the draw, oh wow. But ultimately, we're all the one presence that's shining through all of us.
And it's so typical of you, Mel, to bring us right to the heart of the matter. Um, and I really appreciate that. I'm not sure I did a very good job of it, but I tried to say to Lonnie what she's done with the multiplicity within her is an excellent example of inquiry. because she inquired of each one of the multiplicity, realizing, and the only thing that brought all of it together is that she recognizes within herself one place that recognizes all of them.
Mm.
And so that is a good clue to how we all operate all the time anyway, right? How when we are really doing good inquiry, how we operate. And so Patricia and Lonnie, welcome to this. We just did our invocation, and what we're doing right now before we really get started is we're just and Livy's up next, but we're just kind of basking still a little bit, Lonnie, in what you brought to the table today, because people are still, I think, having it's still moving through us, what you shared. And then the request was as we get into this teaching, section 6, which is the extension of the kingdom. And extending the gift of life is the section that we're on, just to keep the flavor and the perfume of what you brought forward, bring the lessons and the writing from today into whatever moved us earlier this afternoon. So Livy, I'm sorry, Livy, Lonnie, Amy, Melanie, uh, yeah.
That's one of the things, just to interject with words and how they play in our mouths. And in the song Werewolves of London, when he says, little old lady got mutilated late last night. And it's like, I know he consciously did that with the way it plays in your mouth, you know.
That's true.
Love, I love words in that. And one of the things that I was reflecting on after hearing Lonnie's beautiful share was the expanse, and she used a different word, I think, but the expansiveness that she feels, and as opposed to the constrictions that I can still feel. And it makes me grateful for what I'm hearing because I can't release the stories until I hear them because my body is still holding on. And so, as I'm experiencing the loosening of the stories so that they can make themselves known and give the body some release in that, it just, the only word, and I said it, but it's so affirming and it's so uplifting and and then how like Mel shared, the oneness coming out of all that is the recognition of the all to become the one. And I just absolutely loved that. So that was kind of what I've been reflecting on since we, got to hear them share. So
Thank you. Thank you. Livy, you said two things I just want to draw attention to, um, and I'm going to forget them. The first one was the multiplicity exists in the one. So the one don't all join in the multiplicity. The multiplicity is the container in which, the one is the container in which the multiplicity moves, expresses. And I think, Lonnie brings us back to that all the time. Lonnie totally gets that. And so that's the first thing. Everything is a movement of the one, and the one is the one that sees it and recognizes it, right? The one is the one that knows. And the second thing that you said, which was actually the first thing, but I'm just remembering it now, which is trusting that whatever experience arises is perfect in the moment. So we don't have to go seeking to understand. We don't have to go looking. It, the download happens at the perfect time in the perfect way. We just have to notice, right? And allow it. So I just wanted to just put that put that out for on the table. Thank you, Livy. And now Patricia. And Carol, we're going to have to bring you up to date, girl. Patricia, thank you.
For those of you who were not here this morning, like Josephine and Carol, I think everybody else was that's here. Lonnie had the courage and the bravery to share herself fully in the integration of different parts of herself. I'm going to put it that way. Lonnie, is that a fair statement? Because it's something we all share. We all share the fact that we have what I refer to, or I've known to refer to it, I may change my mind, are subpersonalities. And that's a psychological term meaning parts of ourselves. Now, I have quite a few of them. I have Frida Afraid, Rita Righteous, and the list goes on and on. The different parts. I forgot, there's Debbie Depressed, Sarah Sad, blah, 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 blah. So, and the point is how Lonnie's share today encouraged me fully to really pay attention about integrating those parts of self. And I thank you so much for that, because I forgot about that, and how you shared it. It was like they are who we are. As this particular Patricia's riding around in a Patricia suit. My soul is riding around in this suit. And so might as well integrate those parts. So that's a way of describing somewhat, and I'm sure other people will fill you in more, but it was such a beautiful and profound sharing.
Thank
And
you.
Lonnie, love you very much.
Mm.
But that brings us to what we're studying.
That is true. And for those of you, let's see, I don't know if you can see it in the chat. Cindy put it in. That is the link to today's session, our gathering. And so you can hear straight from Lonnie if you want to save that and then go back and rewatch on YouTube, which I really encourage folks to do. Anybody else?
Just make sure I'm in the right place of where we are today on what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We are starting on, what do I have here? Where am I here? I usually write it down.
Chapter 7,
Okay, I think
section 7.
yeah, we're on chapter 7, section 6, extending the gift of life.
Oh, I thought it was 7.
Yeah.
Cindy had 7, but it's 6.
Yeah, page 287 is what I had. Start at the top. Weren't we somewhere? We'd started the ego's use of projection.
That's where my
that's
marker,
right.
That's where my marker is.
You're right. You're right. I'm wrong. Thank you so much. Yes, once again, we are on part 7, the ego's use of projection, and we're on paragraph 3, which is on page 287 up at the top. Now, I'm going to ask, as soon as I get my top in order here. Okay. Who would like to read today? I'm going to take my little notes here. Okay, Libby is offering. Chuck, okay. Libby, Chuck, Mel, I know Patricia will. Okay, and Patricia. All right, let's see where we get with that. And again, just a reminder to bring forward whatever we learned today from this reading. So I'm going to ask Livy to begin with paragraph 3.
Okay. Okay. Chuck, was there anything else you wanted to say before we?
No, my hand accidentally got put up.
Okay, I just wanted to check and be sure.
Thanks.
Okay. The ego, using its own warped version of the laws of God, uses the power of the mind only to defeat the mind's real purpose. It projects conflict from your mind to other minds in an attempt to persuade you that you have gotten rid of it. This has a number of fallacies which may not be so apparent. First, strictly speaking, conflict cannot be given to another, precisely because it cannot be fully shared. Any attempt to keep part of it and get rid of another part does not really mean anything. Remember that a conflicted teacher is a poor teacher and a poor learner. His lessons are confused and their transfer value severely limited by his confusion. A second fallacy is the idea that you can get rid of something you do not want by giving it away. Giving it is how you keep it. The belief that by giving it out, you have excluded it from within is a complete distortion of the power of extension. That is why those who project from the ego are vigilant for their own safety. They are afraid of their projection. They are afraid their projections will return and hurt them. They do believe they have blotted them out of their own minds, but they also believe the projections are trying to creep back into them. This is because their projections have not left their minds, and this, in turn, forces them to engage in compulsive activity in order not to recognize this.
All right, I want to just stop us there. And thank you, Livy, for reading the underlined and emphasizing where it's emphasized, because that really does make an impact on how this is understood. So the first part, these are two examples, what in paragraph 3 and 4, of how projection works or doesn't work. So the first thing is that the thought system of the ego, and this is often unconscious, and boy, once you start looking for this, you can see it everywhere. It unconsciously projects conflict from your mind to the mind of the other. And when I read this, I noticed how often I do this with my husband. Relationships are such a phenomenal way to understand these lessons. Coming down the stairs in the morning, we heat our house with wood. Has he lit the stove yet? He got up first. Did he light it? And feeling that irritation, like, I bet he didn't. That's all projection. Every bit of it. Or another example, being in a conversation with someone and interpreting something that they say as being irritated with you, when in fact it's really you who are irritated with them, right? But you hear they're irritated with you. And if you took a pause and were willing, but you're unwilling, often we are unwilling, to admit our own irritation with the other person, because we perceive that that would be wrong. We know instinctively there's no reason to be irritated, but we project it onto them. It takes this is where the constant vigilance is important, because it takes that in order to see it. So that's the first thing, is we project, and often unconsciously. And the second thing is that you think you can get rid of something by giving it away, and that's part of the projection. But giving it away, projecting it onto the other, that's how you keep it, right? That's actually how you keep it, because you never bring it to the light for it to be dealt with honestly, right? So the unconscious projection actually tries to get rid of these unwanted thoughts, but that's what creates the fear, because when I project it onto someone else, then I get afraid that that projection will return to me. And all of this is unconscious, right? It's all unconscious. And then it goes into another thing. So the last thing we do is we think compulsively, because we don't want to be left alone with our thoughts. So we think compulsively all the time, you know. And people that get a lot done are oftentimes the ones that are doing because they don't want to sit back and take that pause. And Livy says, I project my guilt onto others and then see it coming from them. That's exactly right. This is what makes this such a great teaching, is that it comes from the field of psychology. Psychology's gotten a lot of things wrong, but in this way, it's actually quite helpful. So does anybody have any example of their own projection, their own unconscious projection? I can see Carol's reaching.
Hi, everyone. So good to be back. Great to see everybody. Happy New Year. Um, yeah, their projection is constant. I mean, that's part of this dream, right? Of being a separate being. So what? It's recognized, whatever. Like, who's doing the projection?
Do you want to answer your own questions?
Well, no one is. It's just happening. And if it's happening, then it is also, well, it's just consciousness. So there's nothing wrong. The only thing that goes wrong is when thoughts come up and say there's something wrong. So it's like, yeah, that's what part of this whole thing is about. Letting it be,
It just is.
regardless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just is. Yep, it's true. There isn't anyone doing anything. And that's the ultimate recognition, is that there, and this is why a course says, you can't do it wrong. You really can't do it wrong, right? Because nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. It's just a game. We're just playing in the sandbox, and projection is part of it. But once you see your projection, it does begin to unravel. And so it is worthwhile to see it. It's not a waste of time, but
Yeah, but who's doing that?
well, exactly.
Like either it does or it doesn't. So that's why I say, so what?
Right.
It's kind
The-
of like what will be, will be. It's
Mhm.
noticed or it's not, because there's only one thing happening. There's only one all and come all, it's just it. But there are thoughts, patterns, or whatever, which is part of it too, that give the experience otherwise. But that experience otherwise, all of those experiences, that is the exploration, that is the appreciation, that is the creation.
It's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Are you complete?
I'm complete. I
I
guess
know.
so.
Yes, you're complete. Thank you. I use that term because I really like it. I want people to be able to complete their thoughts and feel that they've been heard. So that's what I meant. So Chuck, you're at the head of the table.
Unmuted, yeah, I did, okay. I was just, uh, mostly, where I came from the 12-step experience, so that was one of the early things that in the 12-step program that I was confronted with, was the projection and everything that's upsetting you about others and stuff that you believe about yourself, and you're putting it out there on them. The key phrase was, if you spot it, you got it. Or they had the steps that help us do the inquiry to get to see that it was in us and not in them, or we believed it was in us. The reason I'm going there is in where Carol left off was, then in the journey, I call that part A now, phase one, because that was a learning process, and it wasn't fun with at the beginning of it with the 4-step process that would make it uncomfortable recognizing I really thought it was in me. But then what we're doing now and what the Course in Miracles that gave me part B, and that I discovered in the 12-step program, what I thought was in you was I really believe is in me. But then the Course came along and said, what you believe is in you isn't true either. And that was the laugh and the freeing part and so that's why I put my hand up to get to both part A and part B, and what this is telling me and teaching and remembering, reinforcing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Chuck. And the Course does tell us that all of our thoughts are God's thoughts, all of them, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the baffling part for a while for me.
Yeah. So our natural, I'm just gonna say something, and then Patricia's up next and Chuck, but our natural inclination is toward happiness, right? That's our natural state. And so to remove the ignorance, I'm not using the correct words here, but when ignorance is present, when we're in the sandbox, our natural happiness is occluded. And so what pulls us into recognizing that we're projecting? What pulls us into that? Not the small self, right? It is God itself that illuminates the projection, right? And then for a while, the small self will say, oh, good for me, I caught that. But it's always just the self that is illuminating itself, right? Patricia, you're up
Thank
next.
you. Thank you. I project onto the onto Trump what an idiot he is, and how much self-absorption and self-righteousness he has. Oh well, do I not have self-righteousness? I have a part of myself I call Rita Righteous. So therefore, she knows what's right, and he's wrong, and I'm right. So that's an example of my projection.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we all do that sometimes. Yep, it's so much fun to play this game. That's what really what we're doing. But when it's not fun, these are great tools to remove the veil. And the veil gets removed bit by bit sometimes. For some people, it's gone. But recognizing that we're doing this projection thing, that this projection thing is happening, that is a tool that can move us closer to recognizing we are the one absolute all along, right? And I'll take that tool, right? I don't need it so much anymore, but I'll take it. It's all right. Lonnie.
It's such a useful tool because it's also a part of recognizing how, as the energy of the divine and part of creation, in the expression of human being, you begin to create the reality you're experiencing. If what I'm projecting out is anger, fear, negativity, and what I'm getting back is that same energy, that is the pool I swim in. If I'm stepping into the pool of damnation to pull others in there with me, that is the pool that I settle in. That is the reality that I see out beyond me, that I think is the world, but in fact is just through my lens.
That's a really great point. And I think that is a difference. And I could be wrong. Maybe Carol will point this out. Um, between a lot of the non-dual teachings and A Course in Miracles, because A Course talks about the extension of love, right? And the joy of extending love. And what Lonnie just pointed out was it's very difficult to extend love as love when you're projecting, right? In fact, it stops it, right? Stops it short. Mel.
And doesn't it all boil down to simply thinking that you're separate from everybody else?
Absolutely.
It's the big hurdle. Once, you break through that, then you no longer see an other anymore.
Yeah.
And
No.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're enjoying the human experience, knowing that it's not what you are.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
then too, you also get to step a little deeper. And one of the greatest things that we got to learn at one point was that if we are only in the process of projecting the energy of love, there's nothing that can touch us. There are no holes, no openings for that fear energy that needs feeding to seep in, because the energy of love projects out so strongly when it's projecting. I don't know how else to say that. But when we're tied up in projecting fear and this and that and the other thing, we miss all of that. But once that is not, doesn't have our being busy, we get to move into that place of just projecting the energy of love
Or just
outward.
being it. Just
Well,
being.
that's what I mean. I was using the word projecting because it is in the being of it that it's projected. It's not something you do. It's something you become that we get to settle back into because it's where we started. It's what we are, the
Yeah.
energy of love.
Thank you. Thank you. Carol, then Libby, and then Patricia.
So it's the mind here that would say, am I extending love? Am I being love? Am I projecting love? It's what I am. That's all that's happening. But there are thought patterns and there's a mind, there's an avatar, whatever, that is creating the contrast, creating an idea that that can't be. That's all that's going on. And I think that the one concept that I've always felt is the only concept that could be even close to reality, because it's all just words and ideas, and that's got nothing to do with with it's just one aspect of infinite whatever.
And
So the one, yeah.
you're just segueing right into paragraph 5. It's
Oh,
great.
sorry.
That's perfect. No,
Oh,
you did a
oh,
great
okay.
job. That was wonderful. And when we read paragraph 5, maybe you'll come back
Okay.
and say a little bit more about that. Because I think it's saying in probably too many words, Carol, but I think it's saying just what you're saying right now. So
Okay.
let's see if that's if I'm right about that. Livy and then Patricia.
I was going to say, if you want to go ahead and do chapter 5 now,
Okay.
that's fine with me.
Okay. Let's see.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, Patricia, you willing to hold off for a minute? Okay. All right, Chuck, would you read paragraph 5?
Yes, I will. You cannot perpetuate an illusion about another without perpetuating it about yourself. There is no way out of this because it is impossible to fragment mind. To fragment is to break into pieces, and mind cannot attack. Let's see if I can do it. The belief that it can, a fallacy which ego always makes, underlies its whole use of projection, because it does not understand what the mind is, and therefore does not understand what you are. Yet its existence is dependent on your mind because it is a belief. The ego is therefore a what? I'm not seeing where that goes next. I got to tell you. Do I have to go to the next page?
Yep.
Okay, that's why it's not making sense to me here. Okay, a confusion in identification, which never had a consistent model and never developed constantly. It
Consistently.
is, consistently, yes,
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you. Consistently, it is distorted product of misapplication of the laws of God by distorted minds, which are misusing their own power. Do not be afraid of the
Hold off,
ego.
hold off, hold off. You're on paragraph 6. Let's just
Well,
take paragraph 5 if we
okay,
can,
yeah.
okay? Thank you, Chuck. Thank you so much. One of the things that I think is confusing in that paragraph is the word mind. That's a little bit confusing. But the key thing in there that really reminded me of what Carol said is that to fragment is to break into pieces, and mind cannot attack. The belief that it can, a fallacy which the ego always makes, underlies its whole use of projection. Mind is one. That's essentially what this sentence is saying. It's not saying it as clearly as it could, but it's saying all our minds are God's mind. That's what that is. And so projection is just a tool, speaking of tools, that ignorance uses, or that not ignorance, that actually mind of God uses to play the game of separation, right? And so, isn't it fun to, as mind of God, to use the tools that we created, but forgot we created, to rediscover ourselves? That's what's going on. Right? And it's so much fun until it's not, right? And so it's, says this is because it does not understand. The ego does not understand what you are. The ego, the idea of separation. The ego is just an idea of separation. It isn't a thing. It has no power. It's just an idea of separation. And it doesn't know what it is. Right? That's what it is. That's it. Right? Carol.
Yeah, I think Lonnie said something about the tool or the instrument of it. And that I think that's what I was going to say, was that the one concept that even really sticks anymore is the contrast, is one experience lighting up another. And it's the one, all possibilities, just lighting up all possibilities. And that's what exploration and knowingness is. And so it's seen piecemeal, it's experienced piecemeal, as it's, I guess, if you want to say, expanding into itself, but it's never been anything other than that. And it's just, that's the beauty of the ego. It's the most beautiful gift in the most horrendous experiences, to point out its complete opposite, stunning experiences. There can't be one without the other. That's one concept that seems to not be a concept here. The rest of it is all just stories in the dream that don't so far beyond what reality is, because reality never stops. It never stops growing and expanding in itself. It just keeps going. Anyway, sorry.
Thank you. I think you've jump started us into the next paragraph again, but we'll get there after Livy and Patricia. That's all right, Carol. It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good, Carol. Thank you so much, really, seriously. And, I currently live with four beings seemingly separate from me that can't speak in words. And I'm I'm uber sensitive to the energy that I'm putting out in the space because they have very sensitive energies. And the other night, I inadvertently, there was some fear that was exuded into the living space. And for the first time since I've had the four of them, I could see stances starting to be taken and people starting to kind of walk a certain way and cop a certain attitude. And I'm grateful and this is like midnight. And I kind of pick up on that. And I'm very grateful that I am learning to be lived and just to allow that. So the first thing that came to mind was I just started singing. I just started singing really loudly and kind of dancing around a little bit. And I could tell they started kind of changing. And I went to the television and I went on YouTube while I'm still singing. And I searched for loving energy music and I found this video, an 8-hour video of loving energy vibration and music. And I turned that on and I just kind of sat in the corner and I watched as, okay, I'll just kind of lay here. And one just kind of laid there and the other one was like, my spot on the couch is looking good again. I'm going to go up there and I just left it on for 8 hours and it totally shifted everything. And it was just beautiful. And I'm very grateful to be with these beautiful, seemingly separate beings who remind me of the truth of what is. And so just wanted to share that with y'all. It was again affirming of the whole loving energy thing. So,
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Carol and Livy, your hands are still up, so you might want to put them down. And Patricia, you're up next. But you have to unmute.
What a good idea. I was just thinking about, the energy of love, but there's also something called tough love that says, that's not loving. I choose not to engage in whatever it might be. It may be Trump on television, or it might be someone not being very loving. I choose not to engage. So is that projection? I suppose so. But it's also uh, making a stand for who we are as people. I'm running around in this Patricia suit, and Patricia says, thank you, I choose not to engage. Is that projection?
Yes, it is actually, because who is the I that's choosing not to engage? And what are you choosing not to engage in? It's
But
always,
isn't that I choose not to engage in the negativity.
that's fine. That there's
But is
absolutely,
that projection? Am I projecting that that's negativity?
yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't mean you like that's a personal thing. It's all a projection. Anything that
And
is separate, that's seen as separate
yep,
and
yep,
unwanted, that's a projection. And
got it.
then the I, the separate I that gets upset about the separate thing that isn't part of the oneness is a projection. It's all happening in the in the all. It's all happening in the all. It's the manyness of the one. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying the manyness. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Right? So no judgment whatsoever. That
Right.
just adds to
Mhm.
the veil, you know, as it, love and do what you want, right? Love and do what you want. I do want to ask Mel. Carol, would you be willing to let Mel read the next paragraph? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Um, if Mel would read paragraph 6, I think this is an important one.
Do not be afraid of the ego. It does depend on your mind, and as you made it by believing in it, so you can dispel it by withdrawing belief from it. Do not project the responsibility for your belief in it onto anyone else, or you will preserve the belief. When you are willing to accept sole responsibility for the ego's existence yourself, you will have laid aside all anger and all attack because they come from the attempt to project the responsibility for your own errors. But having accepted the errors as yours, do not keep them. Give them over quickly to the Holy Spirit to be undone completely, so that all their effects will vanish from your mind and from the sonship as a whole. He will teach you to perceive beyond belief, because truth is beyond belief, and his projection is true.
That is a very dualistic teaching, but it is actually showing you exactly what to do. So there are a couple of points in here I just want to get in. Do not be afraid of the ego. That is one of my complaints about A Course in Miracles is that it does give us sometimes the feeling that the ego is some separate evil thing. It's just an idea. So it's do not be afraid of the idea of the ego. Don't be afraid of it. It's just what it is. But then it also tells us that when you find that awareness, when we become aware as awareness that we've been playing in the sandbox of projection and that we have experienced upset because of it, it says notice, just notice, and then give it back to all. this uses the term Holy Spirit. Just give it over quickly to the Holy Spirit. What that means is just give it over to the oneness from which it came, right? The oneness brings it up into our awareness as these seemingly human bodies. We notice it, have the experience of noticing it, and then don't hang on to it. Don't personalize it. Don't make it into anything that it's not. Just say, oh, thank you for that, and give it back away. And I really think this is important. It comes out of the oneness into our awareness as the oneness itself, and then we return it back to the oneness without taking ownership of it or blame for it. And this is true of the most horrific ideas that the ego will try to take credit for. You know, Jean Klein says the ego is the clown that comes in at the end of the performance and takes a bow, right? And the ego will try to take everything that arises from the absolute awareness and call it to itself. And it's the idea, that's the idea that we say, oh, that idea is true. But it's not. If we really investigate, it all just happens, right? So as it's all just happening, give it back to that from which it happened. Right? That is a clue about how to live the human experience that we find ourselves in and to do it happily. That's the clue about how to most enjoy this human experience. Carol, you got your hand up.
It's weird because just in reading that, something just came up in the give them over quickly to the Holy Spirit to be undone completely. And it sort of took on a different meaning. It's not dualistic. It's just another way of saying you re-recognize, go back to what you are, go back to your most prior. I am existence, consciousness. And I mean, there's no one or nowhere to give it because it's just what is, what we are as one. So just remind yourself to go back to what you really are.
And who's
And then
reminding
love
you?
it.
Who's reminding you?
Consciousness,
Right.
awareness. That's all that there is. But it's just like there's nothing to do but go, oh, and allow and let it be. Let it happen. Let it arise. And in that is if that's just what is happening and presenting itself to itself in every way possible, who cares? Let it come up and out. Like there's nothing else. As you said, Amy, that's how to live here. It's the only way. It's the only truth. And we know it by the experience of the okayness that comes from it.
Thank you. That's exactly right. You know it from having the experience of doing it. And that is how you know.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And that's why the tools are helpful, because the tools peel back the layers of ignorance until you get to that point where you know, right?
Yeah. The beauty of those nasty tools.
Yes. Yep.
And then they're not nasty anymore. They're just so appreciated because they're not, the nastiness is gone because it's been allowed. That's the transmutation, I think, that some of the teachers talk about. Yeah, anyway, sorry, Bess.
Thank you, Carol. Lonnie and then Chuck.
You know, my head and inside of me is that echo of all is all is all is all. That's there all the time. And I the ego, at least in our experience, has a function. It points a light to where separation, the idea of separation exists. It points a light to where I'm feeling or experiencing a sense of disempowerment, you know? And it has all of, and but it wasn't until I stopped trying to, again, anything I push against is going to push back. So when I stopped pushing against it and started really wanting to be curious, it keeps showing up. I keep running into that same damn brick wall. Why am I continuously running into that same damn brick wall? Because we keep doing the same thing. And ego shows up the same way every time. Well, if I can rely on it showing up the same way every time, then the next time it shows up, maybe I can make a different choice.
It is a tool. That's exactly what Eckhart Tolle says. Great, great example. It is a tool. Discomfort and suffering are a gift. They really
And
are.
they're also a choice. You know, that's standing in any present moment and wishing that moment or anything in it to be anything other than it is. Because what it is just what it is. That is where we open the door to suffering, to questioning what is, as though it's not supposed to be. And we walk around again with this illusion that all of this is supposed to be like cotton candy. And it's not.
Thank you. Yep, the idea of the ego. Yep. It is both the problem and the solution, right? And that is exactly what A Course says. It says the solution is in the problem. Exactly.
And
Right?
in the greater all, there is no problem.
Yeah, there is no problem. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Chuck, you're up next. You got to unmute, Chuck.
Okay. I hope this is appropriate. I'm not sure I got triggered by this. It's something it was a tool I used, and I had gotten away from it for a while, and it just popped back into me. It's in chapter 5. Uh, I'm going up a little farther in paragraph. Decisions cannot be difficult. This is obvious if you realize that you must already have made a decision not to be wholly joyous. That is what you fed. Therefore, the first step in the undoing is to recognize that you have actively decided wrongly, but can is actively decide otherwise. Be very firm with yourself in this and keep yourself fully aware of the fact that the undoing process, which does not come from you, is nevertheless within you because God placed it there. Your part is merely to return your thinking to the point at which the error was made and give it over to the atonement and peace. And here's the thing that I started to say all the time was say to yourself the following as sincerely as you can, remembering that the Holy Spirit will respond fully to your slightest invitation. I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. I will decide if I will decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences that of my wrong decision if I will let him. That's the part that I love, that will undo all the consequences and will let him, allowing you to decide for God for me. I hope that wasn't out of line.
No, that was entirely appropriate. And it's exactly what we have been talking about. I would say there is a shortcut to saying all those words. Like, you've been a student of a course for a long, long time. You know those words intrinsically now. And so we don't have to say the words again. We just know there's an immediate shortcut, which is I am the absolute. All of this is arising within, and I send it back, with love. I give it away. It came up, I give it away. So, yeah, but that's using words. That's exactly what we were saying. Thank you for that, Chuck. It's all throughout, isn't it? Yeah. So next week we will start. I made a note here on paragraph 7, and then we'll probably start in on section 8, your boundless self-fullness. I can't wait to start on that. Your boundless self-fullness. All right. So thank you all. It was really, this has been quite the day. My mind is kind of like, woo.
Lonnie got us going.
She sure did. She sure did. So come, whoever you are. This is for Lonnie. Whoever you are, and for Patricia, for all of us, whoever you think you are in this moment. Wanderer, fire worshiper, lover of leaving. This is not a caravan of despair. It does not matter that you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Still come, and yet again. I just love that. Go out
I
there.
do too.
I do too. Yeah. Go break your vows. Go have fun.
I want to find the recording that I learned. A friend of mine who was a part of the Sufi community plays that on her guitar, and I would harmonize and we would sing it. And it had more. I was trying to find it on YouTube, and I haven't found that particular version. So I'm gonna see if I can't find that and send it to you. But
Send it to me.
I
Yeah.
Does that mean you're going to sing to us, Livy?
I hope to at one point.
Oh God, I would love that. Please.
Thank
Yeah.
y'all. Thank you.
Okay. Love
I'm
us.
Livy, I'm told that one of the most sacred sounds a voice can emit are the sounds through the pineal gland when one sings.
Oh, it's something else. I tell
Yeah.
you, I've never reached highs like I have reached through singing,
Mm,
through music. It's just, yeah.
it's
Thank
quite a
you.
gift.
Thank
Hey,
you.
maybe it's possible to have a sing-along at one point.
All right. We can put that in Cindy's basket.
Okay.
All
I'll play
right.
the tambourine. Love you all,
Love you
Love you
too.
too.
All
Thank
and
right.
I
y'all.
love you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye
you,
all.
Amy. Thank you,
Thank
Amy.
you.